What words pop into your
Qu'est-ce que vous
head when you
pensez
think
lorsque vous
of
pensez
failure?
échec?
Loser, disgrace. I think there was a bald. I am holding the Engineers Without Borders Canada annual failure report. Now, thinking of this organization and the people, what words come into your mind when you think of them? Brave, courage, innovative, honest. It is truly remarkable how differently we perceive the experience of failure compared with how we perceive people and organizations who fail. Our expectations for 100% success is unrealistic when we are working on complex problems. I would like to redefine failure as a teachable moment.
We like to point our fingers, but if we don't look inward and own that failure and learn from it, we won't be able to advance those sustainability initiatives that are so crucial to our communities.
We've always been in a fishbowl. I think particularly today, when things go well and a project's successful, it's the credit of the politicians on council. When things go off the rails and it's a failure, well, that's the administration's fault. That doesn't necessarily create the best climate for particularly the administration to embrace this concept. There's two routes: taking something right up front from day one and saying, this is we're trying to innovate here. The other way is providing spaces for staff to work collaboratively together, identifying a problem and testing different solutions internally.
We've developed a leadership charter. The CIO's taken a great lead in that. The phrase fail-safe is used a lot. There's still a lot more trust that has to come, and that's the key word. It's around trust.
In the late 1990s, the city of Guelph saw an opportunity to in an underutilized, unperforming, municipally owned asset. The request for proposals for the project has still not been released. I underestimated the importance of culture and relationships to achieving this project. We may have scared off some potential investors, and we lowered confidence that the city has the capacity to deliver on this project. It's going to require us to partner even more with other governments, with the private sector, civil society, and individuals. So to change the culture from within and not nurture a test and learn culture, a really challenging thing to do when you work in a fishbowl.
Extensive stakeholder outreach we did. Over time, I found myself getting frustrated. I missed the fundamental point. You are never done making the business case for each and every one of those partners. Otherwise, your partners will drift from you. Or in some cases, potential partners have been really part of solutions around the gaps. So there's actually a lot of comfort and tactical purpose for talking about failures.
We had this defunct mine site, contaminated site that we were going to turn into a positive for our community, geothermal heat to use in a potential district energy system. We awarded a major chunk of funding from Natural Resources Canada's Clean Energy Fund. We didn't have all the answers at that time, but we wanted to hold on to that funding. Basically, at the end of the day, it came down that 57% of people said, no, we're not going to give you the authority to borrow. So we continued to do our due diligence. And we had people from the mining industry who had worked in this mine, some who came out and said, you know, the temperatures aren't what you think they are. Others who came out and said, yes, it's pretty damn hot down there. As it turns out, there was not as much of a resource underground as we thought there might be. We became wed to an energy source. We put ourselves in a position where we went out to the public before we were ready to answer all the questions.
The teller of a failure story always feels more vulnerable than you hear as the listener. So it's really important as a listener to appreciate the courage that it takes.